Deconverted Neckbeard Man here. Okay, so I made a very unedited video where I just spoke to the camera and laid out some thoughts that I had regarding Jordan Peterson being or not being a Christian apologist. And it wasn't really meant as a rebuttal to Godless Cranium per se. I mentioned him. I think I linked that video in a response to Godless Cranium's video, so that's probably how he became aware of it, or maybe he subscribed to me. I don't know, but at any rate, so he responded with his own video, and so I'm here now to respond to that response, clarify points that were not very clear, and talk about some of the comments made on Godless Cranium's video that was responding to me. So I'll start out by saying that I don't mind being wrong. And one person was able to show me that I'm wrong. So I tip off my non-existent fedora to Clade Starfish. Or is it Claude Starfish? I'm not sure. But they said, no true apologist fallacy, which is a version of no true Scotsman fallacy, in essence. And they're right. Darn it. Darn it. I wanted to be right. But I'll defend my point in an interesting way and still kind of be right, but be technically wrong. Which means I'm still wrong, but darn you, Starfish. Alright. So, on a technical level, due to the definitions of the word apologist, and then you can put Christian in front of it, anytime anyone gives a defense of Christianity, technically, they're a Christian apologist. Now, my video was in effort to say that Jordan Peterson isn't an apologist, but that's incorrect. He isn't the same type of Christian apologist as the ones that we're used to, the mainstream ones, the ones that make money solely off of defending Christianity. There are a number of points Godless Cranium made in his video that aren't quite right. One of them being talking about the money that Peterson receives on Patreon. That goes and has gone to making different programs for students that are available on the internet now that couldn't have been made without that money. So even if you want to say, well, you know, he's defended Christianity here, here, and here, maybe, but the money he's getting isn't being used to fuel that particular thing. So if he's making money on, quote, defending Christianity, end quote, then he's not spending money to do that more, which is what the typical apologist would do. So it's a very different situation in that sense. Now, Godless Cranium has also said that he might be more dangerous because he's so sophisticated that you don't even know that he's doing apologetics. And I think that that goes back to my point that he's not doing apologetics in the sense that these other guys are doing it. And I really think that being anti-theist to the point where all of Christianity, all versions of it, are bad and should be destroyed and fought against in every shape and way. I'm not an anti-theist, so I can't go to that level. I'll debate anybody on any of the topics of Christianity that are out there, and I'll do my best to show the logical fallacies that they produce, but I won't go after benign Christians that I don't see as doing harm. And I group Peterson in that group. Godless Cranium can disagree with that and do his own thing, and more power to him. So on this, we just don't see eye to eye. I view it as one way, he views it as another, and it's very subjective. And it is subjective because of the natural language of the words. But on a technical note, he's absolutely right. But only on a technical note. So, I was right. Sort of. Nah. Okay, time to switch gears and talk about some of the comments made on Godless Cranium's video response to me. So I'm going to read these and then respond to each in turn. Switch the Flip says, the video comes off to me as someone arguing out of a misguided sense of loyalty to somebody they admire rather than any sort of reason. It's similar to brand loyalty. Being able to say that they listen to people like Dr. Jordan Peterson makes people feeling smart and superior. When someone points out that these people are not the paragons that they've been made out to be, people take it as criticism of their superior intellect. Much like explaining to somebody that their $800 iPhone is pretty much a massive ripoff and all they paid for was the logo. They take it as an insult, particularly when they think they're too smart to ever to fall into such a trap. Well, I think I said in my original video that I might be influenced by my emotions regarding Dr. Jordan Peterson. My admiration of him might indeed influence my argument. I believe I said something like that in that video. So, in one sense, this switch the flip is correct that my emotions did influence my argumentation. I don't think it's brand loyalty or feeling smart. In fact, I try to remain pretty humble about how I view my own intellect. I'm good at some things and bad at others, and better at others than some and worse than someone else. But I don't feel superior by listening to any person or anything like that. So that's just, kind of a special knowledge claim being made there that I would dismiss. But yeah, it is something that I have to look at very carefully when I find myself in admiration of anybody, to take a step back and be perhaps more critical of them than I am with anyone else, because I've noticed that my emotion is there, so therefore I have to weigh that down with more logic and more reason. So BG687BFT, I'm going to try to pronounce this, says, it sounds like DM wants apologist to be a slur and doesn't want to cast any such slurs at Jordan. Also, play nice, you guys. GC doesn't do irrelevant personal attacks, and neither should we. It distracts from the rational discussion. Well, BG, I agree with the last part, definitely. I see where you're coming from with the first part, that I frown upon the idea of Christian apologetic being applied to this particular person. As I've said earlier in this video, on a very technical level, that application is correct. On a more subjective level, I don't view it as being quite correct. And I would say I would put it under the heading of label him as this because I need to be an anti-theist. If you are an anti-theist, then that would be the sort of position that I think you would take. Now, I don't know if Godless Cranium would define himself as an anti-theist per se, and I'm not saying that he is. I just would think that this would be something that an anti-theist would do. Would be like, yeah, he's a apologist, he's an apologist, she's an apologist, and just always attack Christianity no matter how benign it might be. Whereas I'm more conservative on my approach. I go after the arguments and the logic, and the more benign Christians I'm content to leave be, because they're not doing harm in the way that the other ones are doing. And that's just my take on that particular issue. William whatever, I can't pronounce your last name. I was a Patreon for both of these gentlemen because I believe you should support those who are trying to get across the similar views you have. If you enjoy the videos they create and find enjoyment from them, then show them you appreciate their work. Deconverted Man, DM, has stopped accepting Patreon, but shows a little love to Godless Cranium for all the work he puts in helping your voice be heard. As little as $1 a month, a single candy bar, both your mind and body will be better off for doing that. Well, William McCrae, thanks for promoting the idea of sending money to people because you like them. I'd also say I think that there might be some value to supporting people who you do not agree with. And that it is important to listen to people that you do not agree with so that you do not wind up in an echo chamber. That being said, I don't need Patreon, but if you really want to throw money at me, I do have a PayPal link on my channel somewhere that you can find and click on if you're like, oh man, I really need to send Deconverted Man money. But it should be like a lot of money, you know? So, just saying. But, whatever. But yeah, thank you for that kind remark and advertisement. That's very nice to see. And now for this. Here we go. My atheist nipples are plump and moist and hard by watching the idiocy of a gratuitous, misinformed person. Thanks, Godless Cranium. This fucking asshole is putting me to sleep. Boring. This just in. Fat, awkward neck stutters, incoherent garbage. Not to mention the lisp. I'm trying to figure out how much DM had to drink before he started filming. There are occasional stumbles where he loses his train of thought temporarily. A few mangled words like cosmological. His speech is not always fluid. I'd say 6 pints of beer. 5 of them have already taken effect, and the 6th has not fully kicked in. He's gone past the stage of coherent loquaciousness and is no longer loquacious and starting to struggle to remain coherent. Note that I'm basing that on typical English beers and consumption at a reasonable rate, not trying to break records, but trying to make the drinks last. This guy looks like he hasn't slept for weeks. My response to all of you is, well, those are interesting remarks, and none of them have any bearing on my arguments whatsoever. So, I would suggest that you get an informal logic book and shove it up your ass. And then poop it out, clean it off, and read it, because you don't know what an ad hominem is, or if you do, you seem to have forgotten in your efforts to insult me. But I don't care. Okay, I care a little bit. But, also a lot of people mention Neckbeard, because I don't know. So that's the thing. So those were bad comments. Bad. Shame on these people. Note how I didn't say their names? Yeah. Eat that. Haha. I have the last laugh. So there. Nah. You want erratic dialogue? We can do erratic dialogue. I can make fun of you too. Nah. But to focus again on logic and reason, erratic dialogue is dialogue where you are trying to throw the other person off. You're trying to hit them off by insulting them or saying things that will irritate or upset them. And the goal of that dialogue is usually to reveal the deeper basis of the conflict, that there's something that you just really irritated you, but you can't say it with words, so you're throwing these negative ideas at them in efforts to get them angry, and then they start yelling at you, and the insults go flying. And it's a weird sort of dialogue because the goal is hardly ever reached by engaging in this sort of dialogue. So I try my best to avoid it and just say, well, ad hominem attack, and that's it. You're done. You didn't have an argument. Try again. Try harder. Also, I was joking about shoving the books up your ass. That would be painful, probably killing you, and cleaning it off would also be really problematic. So, but do get one and read it, because that's always a good thing to do. Is to get books and read them. That's all I've got. Oh, I guess I said everything here. At least you didn't get to see my face on camera this time. I don't have any good way to end this sort of video, because I can't say that there wasn't a logically coherent argument, because that starfish person did tell me what logical fallacy I did, and that's all it took for me to realize that I was wrong. Meaning that technically Godless Cranium didn't show that I was wrong. So I win. Ha ha! Ha ha! Eat that! No, I'm kidding. I'm not being serious. I do think that, you know, there's nothing wrong with Godless Cranium other than he lost. Ah! No, I'm just kidding again. We're not really fighting. I would enjoy for him to do things on my channel. And if you take this seriously, then there's something wrong with you. Godless Cranium's a poopy head.